Welcome to a victorious Wildcat Country post-game show powered by Backcourt Marketing. Eric Cohen and Shane Dale. Sorry we're a few minutes later than usual. A few technical difficulties on my end, but this is what happens when I don't go to Arizona Stadium. This is the first. Yes.
Eric, you are not allowed to go to another game
All right,
until they
Shane.
win again.
Now that's a bunch of BS. I'm telling you
It's
that.
not.
I'm going next week. I'm going to do this. We're not going to win anyways, but I will be down there. It's the last.
Not with that attitude, Eric. Not with that attitude. We won't.
Oh,
win.
come on, Shane. They played like crap today. A win's a win, and I'm thrilled for it. Don't get me wrong.
Okay. Look. Well, first of all, I gotta show. My lucky socks won. They worked.
Okay, good.
They worked.
Yeah.
They worked, and I'm gonna wear them every day this week. So apologies to my coworkers. For those saying they wouldn't have won if it's not a real win or whatever because Cal had half his team. I don't curse a lot, Eric. So I don't give a shit. Okay. I'm just happy that they won a damn game. And that's the thing is I feel like if they had beaten NAU earlier this season, most of us would be a lot more patient. Be like, okay, it's a process. They're showing improvement. They did well against Oregon. They almost beat Washington. They played well at USC. So we're patient. We talked about wanting to see that improvement and we saw it. We just wanted to win in the meantime so we don't have to hear about this anymore. And we got it. And that's all I care about, Eric.
I agree, Shane. Anybody that takes anything away from this, the Wildcats defense, any way you swing it, they give up 3 points. They held Cal to 0 at halftime, albeit, Arizona's offense was bad. They still had 330 total yards. They made some crucial mistakes in the red zone and such. This is not a win like a program-defining win. Let's not get carried away here. And I haven't seen any social media reaction thus far that's similar to that. But this is exciting. We don't have the longest losing streak in the country anymore. That's UNLV. There is hope. And Jed Fish can end his season 1-11, hopefully 2-10, and they beat ASU or more than that, which would be great. But at least we're off the schneid. And that's how you have to look at it here.
You know who has a longer losing streak than Arizona?
UNLV.
ASU.
Oh, yes, they do. Yeah,
ASU. For now. Credit to Arizona Desert Swarm posted that, so I credit for them. But that's like one of those. It's funny because it's true things, even though it might not be true much longer, depending on the game against USC tonight. But you know what I think, Eric? Really, I think this buys Jed Fish some time because I think that, like I said, most of us are patient with him, despite some of the issues we had with play calling or whatever. But it buys him some time. It's like, okay, we got the win. Now we can go back to just kind of sitting back and waiting for this team to improve, which I think they're going to. And I think they've already shown improvement. And let's remember, for as depleted as Cal was, Arizona was down to its third string quarterback and several times today a fourth or fifth string quarterback and a guy who hasn't played quarterbacks in 3 years. So to be clear, if Chase Garbers and the rest of Cal's starters had played, Arizona would not have won this game.
Probably not.
But again, I don't care. I don't care. I'm glad that. And you know what though? And one more thing, Eric. We talked about this mental block that this team has had, not winning a game forever. It's like, how are we going to screw this up? I think we as fans think that way, but I think the players started to think that way as well. I think like this, now that they finally won a game, it is, COVID related as it was, hopefully this resonates and like, okay, we are capable of winning the game. We are capable of scoring a late touchdown and winning the game. And so hopefully this trickles down not only to the rest of the season, but to next season, as opposed to going into the offseason 0-12.
Yeah, I think so. It's, at least they can say nobody's going to remember that Cal, when we talk about this game in May, for example, no one's going to remember that Cal was without, 24 players. You're not. You're going to say, oh, we beat Cal. It was an ugly football game, but a win's a win. You were not going to remember, well, Chase Garbers didn't play and all these guys didn't play. The fact is Arizona still held Cal to 3 points. Any way you want to look at it. And this was not like they were down their entire QB room. Garbers could have been out for any reason. Now, I don't know the contact tracing and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I did not go to Tucson, ironically, was for COVID. I unfortunately contracted it a couple weeks ago, and now I'm recovered. But I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna skip it just because I don't want to put anyone in danger. I'm just recently most off of it. Well,
Eric, have you gotten your sense of smell back yet, or no?
No, I do not. I cannot smell. I can smell actually a little bit, but everything else is normal. I tested negative with a home test yesterday, so I'm fine. but I just didn't feel comfortable to go. So I understand the predicament that the Cal players are in. They also have ridiculous contact tracing in Berkeley, which is beside the point. The fact of the matter is, the offense was just good enough, and the defense was really good today, and that's what I want to focus on. Cal had, like 120 total yards. Doesn't matter who you're playing against in major college football, to hold a team to 120 yards is pretty damn impressive.
And Arizona overcame a lot of mistakes, and that's the reason I say they wouldn't have beaten Cal today if the rest of the team was healthy. And of course, if they were healthy, it would have been a completely different game. Everything would have been different from the start. But Arizona was -3 in the turnover battle. They committed a lot of stupid penalties, a lot of just like unsportsmanlike. I don't know how many unsportsmanlike conduct penalties they had, at least a couple, and just a lot of drive-killing penalties. They shot themselves in the foot in the red zone again and again and again. So I'm happy for the defense. It does. You do have to mention that they were without their starting quarterback and 3 of their starters on the offensive line, but they got after Glover pretty good, and. They did dodge some bullets. There was one play, I think, in the third quarter where Glover had a wide open guy streaking down on the sideline and overthrew him just a little bit. So, but again, Will Plummer had to come out 3 times. He kept coming back in, and a lot of respect for him, man. And I remember I said weeks ago, I don't want to see Will Plummer play another down in an Arizona uniform. Well,
you did, yeah.
I did, and I'm at this point. I'm glad. Again, he's not their quarterback of the future. I don't know if he's going to play for Arizona after this season. But to come back 3 times like he did on a bad shoulder, and gashed up his hand real good, and came back in and calmly led Arizona down the field. Did a lot of running plays as well. But he really made one major mistake in this game, and that was the deep throw into double coverage. There was an interception on the first drive, but his arm was hit on that. So that was kind of a fluky play. That was really the only big mistake that he made. He is who he is. He's not going to be a starting Power 5 quarterback for very long, most likely. But he's a tough SOB, and you can tell why. You understand easily why his teammates really love playing for him or playing with him.
Yeah, he's a gamer, man. I mean, that injury to his hand, and I was just watching like all of you at home, and just seeing the blood on the hand. I mean, and let's put it this way: this Glover kid was a quarterback at Penn. I mean, he was a guy that was a 3-star commit out of high school. I believe he was. I mean, I'd have to check, but I believe
Cal is his third school.
Yeah, it's true, and I believe he's higher ranked than Will Plummer. I'd have to double check that, but comparable to Will Plummer. So it's not like they were playing. This is not a situation where, like last year, when the Denver Broncos played a wide receiver at quarterback. Right. Okay, now this is, you can't say that. I mean, because Cal this was their backup quarterback. Any way you want to swing it. So yeah, sure. Cal had some issues, but that's why you have 90 players or 100 guys on a football squad. I mean, they had plenty of scholarship players. What I found out this morning, I was talking to a guy that used to be an assistant at U of A. When Arizona played ASU last year, he said Arizona had 48 scholarship players that were active for that game. He said, in no way should we have played that football game. And that was with 48. Cal had more than that today, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'd have to look at the stats. Cal just played a shitty football game. I mean, that's what it was. They did not play very well. Arizona defensively has made some serious strides over what we saw last week. Offensively, they went backwards, but a win's a win, and we're going to enjoy it. Shane, we have done this show for almost a year and a half, and we have done probably 12 post-game shows, give or take a few, and not one of them has been with a win.
The first one.
And this is the first one. Now, we're going to do another one, spoiler alert, on Tuesday when Wildcats play NAU in men's basketball, probably going to win that game, so we'll have back-to-back wins. But this is the first football game out of, I think, 10 of these that we've done, just give or take, that was a win. And thank God for that. About damn time. And glad the losing streak is over. And glad we don't have to talk about 0-20 and all that other crap. The next thing we're going to talk about, Shane, is how much of a jinx I am at the home games. But they have not won a home game without you and I in attendance. And well,
that's true. That's true. We went to there was the UCLA game. That was the last home game that they won. Right.
Yeah.
Seems like a long time ago because it was a long time ago. Well, first of all, Eric, if Arizona loses to NAU in both football and men's basketball in the same season, I may have to shoot myself in the face. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Please don't. Yeah. Please don't.
But yeah, no. I hope to not have to go that direction. But I feel like, Eric, there was more to build on from the USC game than there was from this one. This one was just, they were good enough. It's a finding a way to win. And again, that overcoming that mental block that I think has been there. The Jetfish really alluded to as well. It's that, this, how are we going to find a way to not score? And again, Arizona, I think the first 3 times they got into Cal territory, they didn't score. They got in the red zone, I think 2 of those times, or close to it 2 of those times.
Right.
And so those problems are still, all of their problems are still there. But again, they are who they are this season. It's not like they're going for a bowl game. So at least they got the win. Use these last 3 games to find out which personnel you might want to, have back next season or have enhanced roles, and maybe try to win another game or 2. I know I'm certain Jetfish is going to make a big deal about the Territorial Cup game.
Yeah.
So if they're going to lose that game most likely, but it's not going to be because of a lack of effort and determination and being psyched up for it. But I think I don't see them beating Washington State on the road. I certainly don't see them beating Utah after what we saw at Stanford last night. ASU, crazy things happen. If this team really has checked out on Herm Edwards, then you just never know. But likely we're looking at 1-11, and I'm okay with that. After what we've seen the last 2 weeks, we got a win, ugly as it was, and we saw a promising performance the week before, and that's all we wanted to see. We talked about wanting to see improvement from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. And it's difficult to measure that when you don't have your starting quarterback or your backup quarterback now. But Will Plummer has been the guy now for 3 games in a row. They have some continuity, which is good. And I'm sure they'll build on that. And hopefully we'll, at least at Washington State, we'll have that. I don't expect to win, but we'll have that feel good that they put together a good effort. They were in it for 3 quarters. They made some good plays.
The next 2 games is, I mean, as much as yes, I'll be back at the game next week, so they'll probably lose just because I'm there. Of course, that's got to be the narrative. I know I've seen some of you on Twitter that have already posted that.
Eric, you can borrow my socks if you want.
No, thanks.
I'll wash them first, probably.
You keep using those.
Okay.
Let me say this: the Territorial Cup. Let's talk about that for a second. ASU is, I mean, they've had their issues. I just want to address this as brief as possible. What happened this week? I know it was a thing on social media where their sideline reporter went on an ASU podcast, Jordan Simone, and was canned by the team. That is the sign of a program, in my opinion, which is melting down from within. They are so paranoid about what anybody says. Herm Edwards is so on guard that they are overly sensitive. And instead of sitting a guy down and saying, hey, you were wrong, maybe backtrack it, and, we're going to, we'll move on, you're gone. That is a sign of a program that is paranoid and is not going in the right direction. Regardless of what happens tonight, Shane, they have to go at Washington, at Oregon State before Arizona. That team could be spiraling in the wrong direction, and the Territorial Cup could be wide open if ASU season continues to go down the drain.
Well, I'll just mention quickly, Eric. George Simone is I consider a friend. He was on ABC 15 several times when I was there. He helped me get some contacts for the most recent book I put together. So, great guy as far as I'm concerned, and a great alum. I am certain there's more to it than just what we saw on Twitter, and I mean there has to be. Other than it certainly comes off like ASU has very thin skin, and maybe they do. But I would imagine there's a little more to it than that. But with that said, the bigger picture, I'm just saying that the thing with Jordan Simone isn't necessarily related to what's happening with the team as a whole. But I am thoroughly fascinated, and I was talking with our producer, Chris, who's an ASU alum, before we started. I am thoroughly fascinated, not even as a U of A fan, but just as a fan of college football, to see how ASU plays tonight. Because it did look like they quit on her. I don't know if they did, but it looked like that. It looked that way. And Jordan Simone said it looked like, he didn't like Jaden Daniels' body language. And so I'm fascinated to see what happens. And USC's actually played better on the road for the most part this season too. So it could be a good game, but ASU could come back and clean house. And then we think, we're going to get stomped in the Territorial Cup game again. Trying to bring it back to Arizona. I don't want to spend all this time talking about ASU with a Wildcat Country logo right next to us, but yeah, I certainly wouldn't. I'm not brave enough to pick Arizona to win that game, but crazy things have happened, but they've always happened when at least one team has at least had enough talent. When those upsets happen, Eric, I'm trying to be succinct here. I'm not doing a good job, but when these upsets happen, it's a combination of Arizona playing its best game with reasonably talented players, and ASU finding a way to shoot itself in the foot. That's what happened in 2016. They were in disarray, and the coaching staff as well. DJ Calhoun told me for the book I wrote that the coaches like Todd Graham and Patterson, a defensive coordinator, they were at odds. They were fighting about so there was this dysfunction on that team. And that's why ASU, one of the reasons ASU lost 6 games in a row to end the season, including losing to an 0-8 in the Pac-12 Arizona team. So is this Arizona team as talented as a 2016 team? I don't know. Arizona had a lot of injuries that year. I think that 2016 team was better than its record. I don't know if this team is. So that's my concern. I think, bottom line for me, Eric, if Arizona is going to win that game, ASU is going to have to hand Arizona at least a couple of gifts, which they're capable of doing. But I think that if both teams play their best, if Arizona plays its best game of the season and ASU plays an average game, ASU wins comfortably, in my opinion.
Okay, fine. But my whole point is ASU season looks to be circling down the drain unless they can turn it around over the next 3 weeks. And who knows? I mean, USC, was not impressive without Drake London. They may come out tonight and not do much, and ASU could blow them out, and then everything feels good again. It's not an easy schedule for ASU leading up to the Arizona game. And let's say that, I don't think they win both those games on the road in the Pacific Northwest. I think they lose at least one of them. And this is a team that was touted as their most talented since 1996. I'm just saying, at least now, the way, I questioned the other week on the podcast. I said, should I go to the game or is it just going to be ugly? Now it's like, well, maybe I should think about buying my tickets just because this game could be more interesting. Wildcats are going to play with a chip on their shoulder. It's their entire season. They're trying to get some revenge from an ass kicking, whatever the super ass kicking was last year. There are guys that were on that team, Will Plummer included, that want some revenge. I'm really curious to see that game. I still think ASU probably wins. But right now, you can't consider it a lock as it was maybe a month ago.
You think of the 3 remaining games, you think ASU is their most likely win at this point, or maybe their only possible win?
Yes,
right.
I do.
I might go with that, but I reserve the right to change my mind after what happens after tonight. But
can I say this? Can I say this?
Yeah.
Utah next week. Utah is a well-oiled machine, with the exception of their loss the other week to Oregon State. This is a team that looked like gangbusters last night. It's going to be a real tough game for Arizona. I don't really care what happens next week. I will be there to celebrate my team in the home finale and the seniors who've put up with all of this. That's why I'll be there.
Eric, do you think they'll let you rush the field like 1 week after, like maybe like before the game? You just go streaking and come back to your seat?
If I was there, I would never rush the field. I did that in college a couple of times, and that is plenty.
Okay. Well, if you had today, you would have had plenty of room. It was, I think all the fans that were at the game were on the field at the end. But
Shane, it made me sick not to be there. No pun intended. But it was hard. I've been to all these home games and I've watched them suck for so long. And of course, the one that I don't go to, they win. So
you deserve to see a win in person, Eric. I agree. I agree. You are loyal, friend, and true. I haven't. The excuse I've used is because I want to do these live streams, right? And I can't do them for the game. Yeah. But even if I wasn't, I don't know if I'd want to spend money to drive 2 hours each way to go see this right now. And you're a much more loyal fan in that regard than I am. As far as what we talked about before the season, I want to end with this. Do we feel like from the beginning of the season to now, Arizona is an improved team overall, and heading in have they accomplished what you hoped they would accomplish to this point?
Are they an improved team? Negligibly at best, but I can tell you one thing. They are playing with a lot of heart. They care. And you saw that last week. You saw that against Washington, and you saw that today. And that's what we can ask. They're not a talented team, and we all know that. But I don't think anyone can argue, Shane, these guys are playing hard. They're just not 100%. Good. But and that is a credit to Jedd Fisch. And I was talking to somebody earlier that said, well, if Arizona loses out, Jedd Fisch has to be fired. I disagreed because of that reason. This team was playing hard. Now, Jedd Fisch with this win probably, he is not going anywhere but before the end of year 3, unless he takes another job. So Jed's with us through 2023. But now at least you can say, all right, we're making progress. We got that win. We've seen some improvement. When Jed brings in some of his guys, they play hard for this guy. He's united the coaches and some of the teams on campus. You know what? Let's see what happens. Now it's more fun going forward.
Yeah, my thought is, we've seen the progress being made, and now we've seen the win in separate weeks. Really,
Right.
the progress, we saw the progress last week, and I think part of that was USC for whatever reason they gave up a ton of points at home. They've done it every week this year, and Drake London missed the second half, but still, we've seen progress in other games. This game, we really didn't see it. They made all the mistakes that we were used to seeing them make: turnovers, penalties, red zone mistakes, finding ways not to score. But they won anyway, and that was obviously largely because of Cal's absences. But we finally got the win we were expecting at NAU. It's like, fine, okay, good. We got a win. It's okay if we don't win another game the rest of the season. We finally got that win. We just got it a couple months later. And so I am glad that we are at least off that schneid. And I was still optimistic about the future regardless, but I'm more so now just like knowing, like I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and realize that the losing streak hasn't continued, and it's not going to continue into 2022. I'm very excited about this. And now I can just go back and watch ASU and USC tonight and not really care what happens.
Well, I care what happens. I hope the Trojans put it on him, but I don't think so. I think ASU bounces back. But you know what? Let me say a few things before we get going here. First, I want to thank Backcourt Marketing, who, it has not been an easy football season to sponsor Wildcat Country. But we really appreciate Megan Coughlin and her team for being supportive of us. And,
we finally got that logo up there after a win, Megan. It's right there. It's real and it's spectacular.
Check them out. Backcourtmarketing.com. They can help your business out with its social media needs. And if you know anyone else that needs some help with their social media, by all means, check them out. Try to refer them to Backcourt Marketing. So I want to thank them. It's been a long haul, but glad the schneid is over. Glad we have a win. We're going into basketball season. There's optimism there. We're going to have a fun live stream on Tuesday night, a little bit late, but hope you guys stick with us. We always appreciate you guys joining us. And I want to give one last shout out to Benjamin Pope, who tweeted me earlier this week in a direct message. And he said, Arizona's going to win this game because you're not there. He called it. And
Eric, it wasn't you. It wasn't you. It's the Sox. Okay.
It's the Sox.
Just go with that. It's the Sox.
Well, Shane's Sox and me not being there. So good call there, Benjamin. Guys, thank you. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks to our buddy, Chris Schubert, for producing this. And Shane, we got a win finally. Thank God. And we're off the schneid. And now we're on to basketball season, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, for Shane Dale, I'm Eric Cohen. Thanks for watching us, and as always, especially today,